Are you Gen Z? Is your screen time exorbitantly high like mine because you graduated last year and you're just adjusting to employment, and so every ounce of free time you have in your neurodivergent brain is devoted to scrolling on Instagram because after a long day's work you don't know how to regulate your nervous system, and so scrolling is the only thing you can do? Well, welcome to my world, where today's video is going to be swapping that exorbitant screen time for writing. Now, a couple of years ago, I saw Kate Kavanaugh do this, so make sure to watch her video. And recently, I just saw Lindy Jung upload this video, and I was like, my screen time is embarrassing. I really want to do this as well. So before making this video, I checked my screen time to see how long the challenge would be, and let's just roll the clip. Let's find out how much I use my phone. Ugh. I know this is gonna be really bad. My screen time on my laptop is also crazy, but I'm not counting that. And I already know that mine is minimum 8 hours. Guy, not up 45% from last week. My screen time is, drum roll please, 10.5 hours. As you can see, anyways, I 42 hours of screen time in a week. That's a full-time job. Some context on my screen time is I'm usually just like listening to a video while I'm doing something because I'm neurodivergent and incapable of sitting with my own thoughts, but I'm still going to like count all of the screen time. I'm not going to deduct anything. Since my screen time is up this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the average of the last month. I think that'll give us a little bit more of a well-balanced look of my screen time. It's still gonna be like 8 hours. All right, so I have done the calculation for what my screen time is over the last 4 weeks, and it's much worse. I fear like pretty terrible. The grand total is approximately 10 hours, which means tomorrow, the plan is to write for 10 hours. Oh, fuck. The parameters for today are not going to be very strict because I am just not that girl. Like, I have very little motivation. Like, if I only write for 2 hours, like, we're going to count it as a 10. I'm going to spend the day splitting between, like, some revisions as well as some new drafting because I have been sort of in the middle of doing a mini revision on a scene. I just want to flesh out sort of the emotional arc. The logline of this book is quite fun. I'll read it. If you don't know anything about the first one, watch the video. It's not going to make any sense. Tenuously clinging to survival and desperate to reunite, Harrison makes internal allies at the seventh roost when Lonan escapes without him, while Reeves searches for the fourth virtue when Darren mysteriously goes missing. So I'm gonna just open my document because it's been forever. I don't even have literally anything set up for the video. I'm super prepared. 1 p.m. start, like 10 hours from 1 p.m. I don't even know what that math is. So like I said, this is a very long novel. Now in the summer, when I was actually in the US visiting family, I was able to go into my scene list and order literally everything. I have a video talking about how I outline as a pantser. I know it's kind of funny, but I don't think of pantsing and outlining as like, black and white processes. When I get toward the end of a novel, like I just need to organize myself a little bit. I went into my notes document and I made a list of literally every single scene that I have left in my book to write. Then I ordered that in chronological order as best as I could. Now there are gaps in between, and that's fine. That's when I sort of figure it out on my own. And sometimes I take myself into different directions, so I have to adjust that sort of mini outline as I go. But that's basically how I outline. Like I said, I have a video on it. But the reason I wanted to do this channel, the reason I wanted to do this challenge in particular is because I am not really going to be doing any like extreme writing challenges this year. I'm not going to do like NaNoWriMo. I'm not doing any like word count stuff this year. And honestly, this has been the year of turning off my word count. I've pretty much not had my word count on my document turned on for the entire year. So like I don't actively see what my word count is anymore. So I thought it would be interesting to do sort of like a time challenge. I don't have a really strong idea when I go into revisions, especially for this book. This is just a personal project. I'm not looking to revise it. What I'm looking for mostly is cohesivity and harmony in the emotional arc and sort of the emotional texture of a scene. I know that's a really like geeky thing to say, but I think of the emotional texture of a scene kind of exactly how it sounds. The sort of atmosphere created, the physical sort of feeling and the reading experience created by the emotions. And sometimes, I'm a pantser. I write and then I come back and I might tweak things. And in that process of tweaking, I might sort of mess up the emotional harmony and it sort of gets a little bit discombobulated. And that's when I have to do another revision to sort of smoothen out everything from first to final draft. So that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. The scene that I'm working on right now is between Reeve, who's one of the narrators, and her fiance. Not the fiance. The context of what's happened previous to this is that Reeves' best friend, Harrison, as in the log line, has been like kidnapped by her crazy family and been held against his will for quite some time. She thought he was dead, and when he actually reunites with her, he mistakenly attacks her. He's not doing it on purpose. He does not realize that what he's doing and has actually no idea that he did it in the present day. But because of that, Reeve is going on a trip with her brother, Lonan, who is actually her best friend Harrison's ex-boyfriend. The two of them are going on a trip just to get away, have some time away. They're having trouble processing Harrison's return, so it's good for them to spend some time together. So the scene that I'm writing right now, Reeve is chatting with her fiance about the upcoming trip, and also the main emotion here is that she doesn't really feel worthy of love. That's sort of like an ongoing Reeves theme. She really doesn't think of herself as somebody who's worthy of love and tenderness. And her fiance obviously feels completely different to her. So I think what I want to do here, I talked to my sister about it, who's a writer and like knows everything about the series. She was like, why don't you put a flashback like from when, you know, they were in their earlier relationship? And I thought that was a great idea. So the revision really is going to consist of some drafting. I'm not thinking it's going to be full scene, might be kind of half scene. Forgive me, I just realized I did not have my mic on that whole time, so the audio will be much better now. As you can see, I quite literally have, you can't see shit, never mind. Can you see it now? Okay, I'm gonna set the timer just so you actually know. And we started. Buckle up. It's 1:06 p.m. We got 10 hours today. I actually am going to spend the first couple minutes of this just kind of combing over what I last did. I have no idea. We go from flashback sort of into another flashback, and the first flashback sort of ends kind of abruptly. I think maybe that's one of the issues that I'm having. But I think that the basis of these emotions, sometimes, you know, I'm a pantser. After I write something, I realize like why it was important, like what here is actually critical, like for pushing the story, pushing the character. And I realized like that Reeves feeling that, you know, she keeps doing things that are, you know, and without considering, you know, this person that she loves very much, her man, on her end, she doesn't feel like she takes him into consideration, like ever. And it's interesting to sort of see their different perspectives on that, because I think he views it very differently than she does, but she is experiencing a lot of guilt in this scene. Like she does not feel like she, you know, showing enough love and care and consideration. And a fun thing that I did today, Katie Wismer, who, if you don't follow her, I'm sure you already do if you're watching this video, had a really great hack that I've continued to do since I found out about it a few years ago, where she will spray like a perfume that's like the scent of the book. So I love the Eilish perfumes. Billie Eilish comes out with some good perfumes. So Eilish #1, which is like the vanilla kind of like really like deep musky scent, is Seventh Virtue scent. So Eilish #3 is Sunless Ground. Eilish #3 is very Lonan coded. So it's obviously, of course, going to be for this book. It's a little bit more like fiery than the first one, I would say, in scent. So it's kind of perfect for getting me into the mindset. If anyone's wondering what like my rituals are for writing, they're perfume and coffee. Who remembers and misses this room? This is now my sister's room, so I don't film in here all that often anymore, but it's my old room. I wanted to do an update on how the 10-hour writing challenge is going, because as I predicted, this is not going. Honestly, I got kind of busy in the middle of the day. I was doing a lot of cooking for a family member, so that was my priority. With that said, my screen time is kind of high today. Like, we can find out what my actual screen time is and laugh at me for, you know, still using my phone exorbitantly instead of writing. So today my screen time is 7.5 hours. That's crazy. Okay, subtract 3.5 hours of YouTube, because most of that was just like listening to stuff while I was cooking. But like at least an hour and a half was on Instagram. An hour and a half was on like browsers. That was probably me looking for recipes. So, you know, I don't blame myself, but I've done a little over 2 hours. It's not been a lot. It's definitely way under 10 hours and it's 8:30 p.m. but I did make myself a hot chocolate. So I'm gonna try to continue. I'm kind of in like an action-packed scene that's easier for me to write in my head rather than actually write it. So I'm kind of dreading this, but it's going to be really fun because it's a lot of drama. I don't know the exact word count because like I said, I've just been revising that bit. I'm kind of done with the revision on that. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to call it done. And now I'm like jumping like back into this like way more like intense in terms of action forward rather than emotion forward scene. I've come to infiltrate my sister's room. She has no idea I'm in here and I'm gonna scare her when she comes in. So this is gonna be my writing setup. I'm sitting on Sarah's bed with Sarah's Squishmallow and I'm very comfy. I'm not lying. It's been 2 hours and 12 minutes. I was definitely filing my nails for at least like 4 minutes of that. So cut some time off, but I'm just gonna check out the word count. What's on this ground? Okay, so now it's at 171. So somehow in my like random additioning of things, I've added like, 800 words according, I think the last time I updated my word count. So now I have to like kind of jump past the action. I have this issue where I struggle to not write chronologically. Like I have this thing where I want to write every single event and it's not a pantsing thing, more like a processing thing for me to understand like where a character ends up. I kind of want to write, the scenes from A to B and like all of the little things in between those two letters. And that can sometimes lead to like boring, like unnecessary information. I mean, this book's really long, so that happens a lot. I don't want to write that here though, because like, I don't know what I would put in that time. So it's taking a bit for me to like process, okay, we've jumped ahead like quite significantly. And this is what the scene sort of looks like now. But I'm going to just try to draft a little bit. If I could do 1,000 more words, I'd be very happy, even if it won't be 10 hours. Because I'm not doing that. It's not happening. Hey, so it's like 20 minutes before midnight. I currently have melatonin in my mouth. So how did this day of, writing for 10 hours go? And what are my thoughts on this challenge now that I'm done? I did not write for 10 hours. I mean, we knew that from the onset. I knew that wasn't gonna happen. Did I think I was gonna write a little bit more and for a little bit longer? Yeah. Because this was kind of just like an average day of like good writing for me. And it wasn't necessarily even like a really good day in terms of like I felt super productive. The final time ended up being around 4 hours. So, just under half of the goal, but still quite a lot of work. I would say, there's a lot of like procrastination and screen time in between there. So let's give it half an hour. Let's say it was 3.5 hours total. And again, like when I was like very unemployed, like I pretty much am right now, I was able to do like that much writing all the time. Like every single day would sort of be at least 3 hours minimum writing. So it's another Thursday. It's literally Thursday. So yeah, it was just another Thursday. I wasn't super focused today. I was kind of running around. Like I said, I was doing a lot of cooking and kind of prioritizing family too today. So I could never complain about that. But by the time I got to writing, I was like kind of pooped from like the day and I cooked 3 things. I was like, I think I'm good. I think I'm checked out. But the good thing is that it did exactly what I wanted it to do. So why did I even want to do this challenge when I knew that I was probably going to fail from the onset? I just really needed something to kick me back into gear in terms of writing. I haven't had a super consistent writing schedule since I started, my employment era, which is sort of, like tenuous right now, back in May. And before then, I had like a very strong routine for like over a year with my writing. And so I just wanted to get back into it. I have been writing in the last few months, but sort of few and far between. And I have been sort of stuck at the same chapter probably since June. I've written chapters in between it, like, gone in and revised a whole bunch of things, like maybe written 20,000 words in between the chapter that I'm at right now. But that is all to say that I have been pretty much like stuck in the same spot, like same chapter since June. And I'm getting a little crazy about it. So I really needed something to kick me into gear. I will say that I managed to get to the beginning of sort of this like super action-y moment. I refused to start it at like 10:30 p.m. I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep if I write this now. So I will revisit this. And my final word count ended up being just above 171,000 words. That means for the day compared to where I started, I wrote about 1,200 words a day, which is, it's just kind of meh. Like, considering I had nothing to do today, like usually on my nothing to do today days, like a number that I'd be like, that feels pretty good. You know, 2,500 and above, typically 3,000. But for this genre, I write pretty quickly. You know, it was one of those scenes where I had to go smooth things out. I had to sort of transition before a moment. So I can't really ask for much more. And it did what I needed to do. Now I have some momentum tomorrow. And for the rest of this weekend, I can hopefully get through this like super action-packed bit. Would you swap your screen time for writing time? And what is your screen time? Is it exorbitant like mine? Do you have a healthy relationship with screens? Let me know what you would do. What project would you write in this time? This giant fantasy project is perfect for this because I have so much of it left to write. It's just very dense, but I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. But for now, I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.